Hello everyone, welcome back to episode number 15 of the Billboard Year-End Charts tier list ranking video series on my channel. 2014 is indeed the year that I will be talking about today, and just like in last video when I talked about 2013, this is a year where I realize I know all of these songs. I remember all of these songs from back in 2014, and I've heard all of them so many times that I can't even count. Maybe these were really the years when I started to get more, exposed and knowing about the actual pop mainstream scene over in America, I suppose. I'm not sure how big all of these songs were in Sweden, but I've heard probably all of them on the Swedish radio, if I'm completely honest, now that I just look quickly at them. And it's a year that has a bunch of ups and downs, really. It's going to be interesting to really tear them out and see what my overall impression is, because I do have very strong memories of every single song that I will talk about today. Just looking forward to delving into them. I will do so right away and start with actually mentioning that number 21 will be the first song up to talk about, because in 20th place on this year's year-end charts was actually Royals by Lorde, that I of course talked about in the previous video for 2013. So she really stuck around for a long time there with that song. She comes up a little bit later here with a different song, but Royals, I don't really feel the need to talk about it again. If you want my 2 cents on it, you can go back to the 2013 video. Instead, I decided to include song number 21, which I guess for me personally, I have to say that unfortunately it was Let It Go by Idina Menzel, which is, it's kind of strange for my head to really comprehend the fact that this was a very highly charting pop song, because it was so clearly never really intended to be that. This is, of course, I wouldn't call it's not the theme song, but it's like the main best-selling or most played or most popular song from the movie Frozen, that was, of course, released late 2013. And it definitely just sounds like it's absolutely like a Disney musical song, and it's produced in that way as well. This was never intended to be a pop song. That's impossible, because then they would have polished it up, they would have made it sound more clear and bright and polished and fulfilling. This feels so standardized, like you went into the recording studio and you just composed the track, didn't really put too much effort into actually making it pop in terms of its soundstage and delivery and production, and then you got a pretty decent vocal performance on top of it that really sells it, and then the song just exploded really, because it was that catchy and a lot of people liked the movie, I suppose. Me personally, I could take it or leave it, really, and I don't really think it fits into the context of the highest charting songs for a certain year, but it's here, and I'll include it. But I gotta be honest, I'm placing this in the D tier. I don't think it's much to write home about when it comes to it being like a regular pop song, really. I always just associate this is the Disney musical kind of song that ended up on the radio. And of course there was, I've actually forgotten, but there was of course a very popular artist who did sing a version of this as well. And here I sit and I want to say in my head, I want to say that it was Ariana Grande, but it probably wasn't. You know what, I'm actually gonna Google this real quick in mid-video. Frozen cover. Sorry, this is terrible kind of content here. I can't find anything about it. Someone let me know. I'm sure that there was like a pop artist who made a cover of it, and that was played a lot on the radio in Sweden. But this is the Idina Menzel version. I don't think the cover was much better anyway. So, but yeah, that's just my opinion on it. A D tier song. I don't find it to be that special. But cool to see a Disney song being this high, I suppose. Nice enough. Moving on to Let Her Go. So we go from Let It Go to Let Her Go, and this is by Passenger, of course. This is a classic, absolutely, in my opinion. It's such a sweet tune, really has the heart in the right place about it. It feels very sincere and honest. I do like Passenger as an artist as a whole. I think he's done a lot of brilliant stuff, really, in this singer-songwriter and kind of vulnerable and heartfelt kind of songs that really speak to me. I have to be honest. I think Let Her Go is obviously very, very overplayed, at least in my head. It was on the radio so much back in 2014 and 2013 and even a few years after, I think. So I've obviously gotten a little bit tired of it, but when I scale it back and when I revisit it now, it's just beautifully constructed. I love the guitar work in it. even though it might be considered simple, it still has this progressive feeling to it. It develops and rescinds again, I suppose, throughout the structure of the track. Feels very lively and living throughout the song as it develops with it. The vocal performance feels honest and quite tangible, and it just comes together really nicely. Very memorable track as well. I think it's an A-tier song. It's beautifully written and very nicely executed as well. So top marks from me to Passenger there. And I think we got Lorde coming up next. This is Team, which is like in my memory, this was never as popular as Royals was, because Royals was just massive. But Team apparently ended up number 18 on the 2014 year-end charts, which is really cool because I think this is a very creative song. It does a lot of fresh ideas that it incorporates, a lot to do with really vocal harmonies and playful distinctions in the actual instrumentation, I suppose, with a lot of detailing. Really nice flow throughout the track. I think the choruses are really effective. I think the vocal performance stands out as well. It's a really fun listen, and one that I think, like, still in 2024 sounds really refreshing to go back to. And just a great listen. I don't really have a lot else to say about it. I think it's structured nicely. I think the production is top tier on it, and I think the playfulness and the detailing in the track is really stellar. So I'm placing this one up in A as well. It's just one of those years. Maybe I'm blinded by nostalgia, but I find these old songs that I really liked back in the day to still hold up for some reason from this year. We'll see if that will be the case throughout the entire list. As I move on to Say Something by A Great Big World and Christina Aguilera. Probably the only song I've ever heard from A Great Big World. Not the only song I've ever heard from Christina Aguilera, of course. But this was a song that they made first on their own, like A Great Big World, I'm pretty sure. And then they got the Aguilera feature and it just exploded, really. And for an understandable reason. This is obviously a very slow ballad, very kind of haunting in terms of its actual approach that it has. It tries to be very sentimental, which I think it succeeds with, but I can also understand why some people would be considering it to be very, very sappy and over the top and just excruciatingly like it's feeling miserable about itself. And I can understand being put off by that. Back in 2014, I remember loving this song. I listened to it so much. And now revisiting it in 2024, I don't think it's as convincing as it was back then. But still, it holds nicely together. I do like the fact that the instrumentation expands so gradually throughout the track. The final chorus really incorporates these strings in a very vivid and lush manner. It's vocally very palpable throughout as well. I think they convince when they deliver their vocals, both... if it's, I don't know who the singer of A Great Big World is, but the male vocals sound crisp and purposeful, and Christina Aguilera adds a layer of real professionalism and character to the track as well. I think it comes together really nicely. I'm placing this in the B tier, top of B tier, I would probably say. It doesn't hold up as much in 2024, might be because of overplaying it from on my end, but it doesn't excite me as much as maybe it seeks out to do. I think it's a little bit of a slow burn. That's definitely shows when listening to it now, but a very pretty piece nonetheless that I think definitely belongs in the B tier. Next up is The Monster by Eminem and Rihanna, and this is like one song that I completely forgot existed, and I'm sorry about that. Like, it's a very, very catchy hook, this one. I think Rihanna is really like the star of this song for sure. The choruses are just instantly in here and so sing-along friendly and catchy, really memorable. A lot of energy in this track while also being very accessible and kind of restrained in a way, I suppose. I think the instrumental behind as well provides a lot of character, and there's nice bass work in here. The percussive is energetic and pushes the song forward. It feels just like a really rewarding, sweet, uplifting, summery pop tune that really tries to have kind of this melodramatic tone underneath it all. And what really holds it back is, it's weird for me to say, but I think that Eminem is kind of holding this song back because his rap verses feel like they're so over the top. Like, it tries to be super playful in his delivery, but it's just kind of, it doesn't really hit as hard as I would have liked it to do. He tries to be quite aggressive again, like it's not love the way you like kind of aggression, because this isn't as melodramatic or sentimental, but he's doing a lot of like weird vocal effects he's put on here to kind of use a call response thing in his rap verses. The lyrical telling of it isn't really up my alley either. And the song just kind of progresses during his verses. They feel a bit incomplete, kind of placeholderish in my opinion when it comes to the standards that I expect from him. But then the chorus comes back in and you just feel like, wow, these choruses hit. They're just brilliant. So due to Rihanna and I guess the composition of those choruses alone, I'm placing this in the B tier. I do think I get more enjoyment out of Say Something. Maybe not enjoyment isn't the right word, but I do like listening. I do prefer listening to it over than Monster. But Monster is a very accessible tune and really catchy. It's definitely a hook that I can find myself singing along to at any point, for sure. So a solid B tier effort there from Eminem and Rihanna here. Next up, do you remember this song? DJ Snake and Lil Jon with Turn Down For What? And this is another case of like, how is this a charting song? I'm guessing there was probably a meme or something, but this is just a bit of crazy EDM. Like, obviously the EDM scene was very, very big back in the day, and this is really like the main, you don't call it the main receipt on that, but like it's a main proof of just how extreme the EDM popularity could take a song, because this song is about absolutely nothing. It's Lil Jon shouting "Turn Down For What" 16 times or something, and then a bunch of instrumental drops, really, with vocal chops carrying them. And back in 2014, I gotta admit, I loved it. I thought it was chaotic, energetic, just a bunch of fun, various sound inputs during these instrumental sections, and then a little bit of craziness sparkled in by Lil Jon shouting into the mic. However, it's aged terribly. Like the how this song comes across in 2024, I can't even explain it. It feels so empty and uninteresting, and it doesn't have any character to it really. It's just there, and it feels straight up like it has no purpose. There's no variation in this track. I mean, the drops are all different in terms of the melodic writing and approach in the sound design, but it's still the same main concept going throughout the track, and it never really feels like this one develops. It's just their placeholderish kind of music that can be enjoyed if you're just in an EDM mood, but an EDM mood from 2014, which hasn't aged the best. I think back then I would probably go and put it in C because I think it's a solid tune at its time. These days it's an E. Like there's no reason to return to this song in 2024, I think, because the music scene has developed so much that there's no purpose for a song like this anymore. And DJ Snake, of course, went on to make much far superior tracks with features like the one from was it Bipolar Sunshine, and also the one with Justin Bieber, of course. And there's probably a few others that are in here somewhere. Turn Down For What? I mean, I guess it gave DJ Snake a spot in the limelight, but let's say he developed after it. Next up, a very big classic in my opinion. This is Am I Wrong by Nico and Vinz, a Norwegian duo, believe it or not, that just hit the jackpot, I suppose, in 2014 with one of the most refreshing tracks of its time to just make the charts. Like, this song stands out because it's both very, very accessible, but also has a bit of a creative approach to it. The contrasting kind of rhythms that it provides makes for a really nice backdrop that just has these choruses that completely overwhelm me in their charm and warmth and sing-along friendliness. It's a song that just clicks. The whole soundstage is very much created around something to sound a bit exotic or tropical or just warm, really. It's an instant mood booster, which is really its main selling point, I would say. The choruses are so catchy. I think vocally throughout the song as well, it feels very, lively, really. It's a constantly kind of progressive vocal delivery throughout the song, and melodically it works in that way as well. The verses have their own memorable aspects, and then the chorus just goes in, and it's very, very rewarding to listen to at any time. The song passes by in a flash, in my opinion. I think the production is top tier still to this day. It's just a very energetic piece with a lot of redeeming qualities that make me very, very happy listening to it. I think it's certainly very, very top of A tier, and it could be considered an S, maybe, but it's not really the most, I guess, creative arrangement or composition. It's just very, very effectively both written and arranged in terms of being accessible and inviting and heartwarming and just really sweet. A great tune I can return to at any time and just love, truly. Next up would be position number 13. I think we've made it up to now, and this is Taylor Swift. And if you've seen my videos, you know what I think of Taylor Swift. However, I have various opinions when it comes to different, like to her pop, like to her most famous songs, I suppose. Like her entire discography has a bit of everything, really. Some huge standouts, some not so big standouts, I suppose. And then there's Shake It Off, which is, I have a little bit of like a tricky time really coming to terms with Shake It Off. It's of course like a song very much directed to all the criticism that Taylor Swift faced back in the day, and all the more power to her, I suppose. I've just never really clicked with this song. It feels like it wants to be so, well, it's basically about not caring, of course, but it feels like it's kind of trying to overdo that by being a bit theatrical and over the top, and really like, it feels like it has a purpose behind the actual exterior of the track that wants to really like put everyone in their place, that has always just kind of put me off a little bit. I don't think it's one of the more melodically sweet or engaging tunes from Miss Swift either. It's a catchy little chorus with the constant repetition, but usually those kind of choruses aren't really for me. Energetic, sure, the song absolutely is that. I think the percussion works nicely in this track. It's produced well. Vocally, I mean, Taylor Swift has a characteristic delivery in it, but the song just doesn't really do a lot for me. I think it's solid enough. I'm placing it in the C tier, but there are so many other Taylor Swift songs that I find to be superior over this one, and even others that are from this kind of time period of her career. Let's see if I talk about more of them tomorrow. I haven't actually checked what songs are on the top 20 in 2015, so that's going to be interesting. But maybe there are some songs coming up from Taylor Swift that I will be talking more positively about in future videos. Shake It Off is not really among my favorites. It's gonna end up in the solid C tier there. As I move on to Pompeii by Bastille, and this one being like such a big hit has always kind of made me really happy for one reason only, and that's really like the kind of out there and outside the box thinking that I think the song has in terms of its main concept, with this proper like choral vocal chant that's really the backbone of the track. It of course leads to choruses that are very accessible and catchy and a bit more on the, I wouldn't say generic side, but very predictable, I suppose. But the vocal delivery from Bastille, you could find it incredibly off-putting. I would understand that, but I think it's also very characteristic and quite fun in this track. And yeah, just these kind of weird ideas in terms of its actual approach instrumentation wise, and playfulness in terms of the detailing and progression. I just kind of like all of those aspects, how they combine and turn into such a successful pop tune. It's quite fun, really, and I always enjoy going back to this one. I think there's a bit of energy in it as well that pushes the song forward in a fun way, and yeah, it's always a nice listen, really. I don't know how much I really enjoyed. Like, I think there are far better Bastille tracks, but this is really the one that, I mean, put them on the map, I suppose, and I'm very glad that it did that. I'm placing it in the B tier, above Say Something. I think it fits nicely in there, but I don't. This is not one of the Bastille tracks that I think I would place in the A category, even though I find it to be very iconic for a lot of reasons, and quite a fun song to return to, really. Next up is Timber by Pitbull and Kesha. And I gotta say, like, now we're in 2014. This is at the end of Kesha's real, like, peak of popularity. And I'm so surprised. I've only talked about her once before this. I never realized that she didn't chart higher. I really thought, like, a lot of her songs would be at the very top of the charts. But I've only ever talked about TikTok so far. And now it's Timber. And oh my, this, you couldn't really follow up TikTok in a worse way. I think this song is awful. It's aged terribly. The choruses, yeah, they're catchy. I get that. I don't really click with this whole crossover that it has with the upbeat, club-inspired hip-hop approach that it has. I mean, Pitbull sounds, he's properly terrible in this song. A lot of lyric lines that are just really off-putting in here, that sound way too off-putting. I'm sorry for reusing the same words, but that's really the main word about his input in this song. The choruses, as I said, they're catchy, but I don't really click with the whole composition of this song, with its approach being so heavy reliant on this upbeat kind of country flavored club tune. I don't know. I'm placing it probably in E just for the hook alone. I would rather listen to Turn Down for What, absolutely. But there's a little bit of character in this song, and the hook is somewhat catchy. It's going down. I'm yelling timber. Ha, a little bit funny. I'll place you in E tier. Well done, Kesha. I think you've been there both times by now. I do absolutely prefer TikTok over this one though, so maybe I was too harsh on that one. I don't know. The E tier can have a wide spectrum, I suppose. Let's talk about the top 10. Maybe some good ones in here. The tier list is not looking too bad at the moment, actually. Like a lot of songs towards the top here. And Sam Smith's song "Stay With Me" is the next one up to talk about. And this is a really beautiful piano ballad. Really, the piano work is strong in this song. I think Sam Smith sounds impeccable in here. So much clarity, so much character in his vocal performance. Sorry. And also quite a well-developed song, really. It feels very personal. It feels hard-hitting. The composition that supports him is also quite nice and strong and convincing. I haven't really kept up with what Sam Smith has been doing after this album, which might be considered a bit strange because like the popularity of Sam Smith is absolutely there, and maybe I should have been more keeping up with it. But this is really the album that I always associate Sam Smith with, and even though "Stay With Me" is not my favorite from it, like there's obviously the song "I Know I'm Not the Only One," which is the Sam Smith song in my head because I think it's melodically so brilliant. "Stay With Me" is still very good, and maybe there's a lot more Sam Smith music like this that I just haven't really paid attention to. Maybe I should go on a deep dive there. However, I'm placing "Stay With Me" in B. I think it's kind of in the same vein as "Say Something." Like these two songs came out in the same year, and there's also going to be another piano ballad coming up a bit later that also came out in this year. And I just kind of grouped them together. All of them are pretty decent. I think "Say Something" is more hard-hitting than "Stay With Me," but "Stay With Me" maybe has a little bit more of a convincing aura around Sam Smith as a vocalist here. But both of them placed in the B tier there. No company from Miss Grande here, I can tell you that much. "Problem" by Ariana Grande and Iggy Azalea. It's Iggy Iggs providing a little bit of a feature on this song, which I'd never really asked for. Maybe someone did, so congratulations to Iggy Azalea for being a big feature on this song. It's all about Ariana Grande though, of course, and that very catchy hook that's just based on the little horn motif there. That's catchy. It's quite an upbeat tune. I think the production is quite strong, and it's a lot of reliance on the percussion mainly. It kind of works. It's very much a thing of its time, and maybe if you released it in 2024, it probably wouldn't hit. However, it was fun for a while it lasted, and Ariana Grande has some pretty memorable vocal lines on this song, I would say. A little bit of a fun listen. Nothing really inherently wrong with it. I'm placing it in the C tier, actually. I'm feeling like it's not that bad. I don't really click with the hook of Sean. Who is it? Is it Big Sean whispering on it? I don't know. Someone's just whispering, "I got one less problem without you," over and over, which is kind of tiring. But then when the horns take over, it's kind of a little bit more fun. So it's a low C. It's definitely closer to a D than a B, but it's still, it ends up in the solid C tier here. And Meghan Trainor's All About That Bass. This is an F. It's one of the worst things I know in the history of anything. Maybe not. I don't know. I just can't stand this song. The fact that it's been so overplayed as well does not help. But her entire approach and attitude within this song is so off-putting to me. I hate how she's trying to be a bit like, haha, ooh, I'm being so cheeky. It's just, no, stop. I don't want to listen to you. And I don't want to listen to this 50s inspired beat that's so incredibly obnoxious and repetitive. The vocal delivery is irritating beyond words. I don't want to listen to her. I think the vocal concept, like the lyrical concept of this, haha, if you've got a little bit more If you're a bigger person, you got more bass, and if you're a smaller person, like size-wise, you have more treble. I don't know. I hate that whole parallel that she wants to establish with this song, and then when it's done in this kind of way of being so cheeky and trying to do everything with the like we say, glimten i ögat in Swedish. Like when you do it with a glint in your eye. I don't know what to say. But no, it's so off-putting. I hate this song. I think it's terrible. The production is completely lifeless in it as well. This little funky little bass wall, fine. I click with that. It's memorable, and I understand that people would find it fun. I just don't. I think it's no. It's just no. That's what it is for me. I'm all about that F tier for this one. Moving on to Rude. Sorry, I can't even speak anymore. Losing my voice. I'm moving on to Rude by the group Magic. Do you remember this song? Does anyone have anything they can tell me about the group Magic other than that they made the song Rude? Probably not, because I have no idea who they are. They came out of nowhere. They dropped this really like tacky and uninspired pop reggae tune that feels so like mild and unchallenging. It's just there, and it's a little bit catchy, and it's kind of backbeat guitar work there with the whole rhythms kind of contrasting in there. Vocally, it's a little sing-along friendly, cute hook, but yeah, no, it's not a song that's for me. It's not really a style of music that's for me either. And this whole concept of like, oh, why do you have to be so rude? I will marry your daughter no matter what you say. I decide. And it's like, yeah, just be quiet. I don't like listening to this. I don't care. And just this kind of like this whiny concept of like, why you gotta be so rude? Ugh, stop. Awfully annoying song, really, and it doesn't really help. Like, I always consider this to be like the inspiration for "Do It For Your Lover" by Manuel Navarro. I think his name was, right. Like, if you know, you know. It feels like we could make something a bit like summery and reggae inspired with a pop crossover and make that really charming and fun. I never found it to be charming and fun, and then other people should try and adapt that, and it's even less charming and even less fun. This is it's an F. I'm sorry, but it's a me issue. I understand that. If someone else likes it, all the more power to you. But I can't lie. I really despise this song. I'm so sorry, but maybe I should check them out to see if I can find something else from their discography that I can actually be positive about. Because I don't want to just have a really negative opinion about an artist or group from only knowing one song from them. When it comes to Meghan Trainor, I can have the whole opinion because I've had to hear so many of her songs that I all find to be terrible. In this case, maybe I should find something that I like about them. I don't know. The F tier is actually going to get stacked here. We got Talk Dirty by Jason Derulo and 2 Chainz coming up next. And this is, again, just like the Pitbull track here, a lot of off-putting lyrical content in this one. It tries to be very fun and I don't even know what it tries to be. Like, oh, we're supposed to think that Jason Derulo is the coolest guy on the planet. Meanwhile, he's really not. It's a catchy little tune. The hook with the whole horn section kind of carrying it, I guess that's a little bit of fun. It has some 808 work that's distinguished in here. But really what it comes down to is that every lyric line in the song is worse than the one that just passed. And we got a feature from 2 Chainz coming in towards the end of the song, which is completely flat and uninteresting. However, 2 Chainz seems to have been proud enough of calling a girl big booty in his cell phone that he had to repeat that twice for us. I don't really know what the whole concept of this was. I guess he was proud of his rap verse. It's a proper chore to listen to. The hook is a little bit catchy, I'll give him that, but it's still an F. It's still an F. It can't be any higher. Very off-putting song to listen to today, I have to say. With a lot of the Jason Derulo tracks from this time, there's a song called Trumpets from the same era, which I have, which is I wouldn't say it's my least favorite song ever because it isn't, but hate that one even more. And there's a lot of weird stuff from Jason Derulo. Oh yeah, there's Wiggle as well. Do you remember Wiggle? That's not on the list, but Wiggle is even worse than all of them, I think. It's barely even a song. Anyway, this is not about Wiggle. This is about Counting Stars by OneRepublic coming up next. Very, again, accessible, kind of a pop rock crossover, very simple tune, but just very, very effective. It's sing-along friendly. It has a characteristic kind of instrumental behind it. It feels rather, I guess, simple in terms of its composition, but it's just kind of clicking with me. I think that it's energetic somewhat. It has a little bit of a pulse to it that pushes the song forward. It's a melody that absolutely sticks. I think the song flows very nicely. It's just competent all around. Very strong pop song that could always just be enjoyed for what it is. I don't think it's one of these that I return to too much, but always a fun little listen that I'm placing in the B tier, I think. I'm placing it next to Pompeii. I actually think these two kind of go hand in hand. It's a strong pop song that I'm very glad was such a hit. Like OneRepublic isn't... I don't have much of an association with them, but usually when I hear their biggest hit songs, I'm usually like, yeah, this ain't too bad. Like I understand why this is a hit, and I'd much rather listen to this than listen to another Jason Derulo hit or whatnot. So why not? Strong pop song, that one. Fancy by Iggy Azalea and Charli XCX next up. Just no again. Like this year has a bunch of hits and a bunch of misses, really. This is a weird one. A lot of like the whole concept of ooh, I'm so fancy. Now I'm trash the hotel. What's it called? Trash the hotel. Let's get drunk in the minibar, and then swinging chandeliers and whatever. It's just all over the place. I don't really get the whole composition or the connection of being fancy and doing just a bunch of trash behavior. It's very unrelatable and unsympathetic. At the same time, the chorus, I get why someone would sing along to it, for sure, because it is a little bit catchy and packed with attitude, so why not? The Iggy Azalea inputs throughout are not very much up my alley again. I don't even know if there are any Iggy Azalea tracks that are up my alley, but... and then the Charli XCX feature, it's a catchy chorus, but again, it's just not for me. I'm placing this one in the F as well. It's down there with Magic, Talk Dirty, and All About That Bass. Those four songs down there, just wow. I really can't stand them. These are like the dark memories I have from 2014, I suppose, just thinking of these songs and a few others, I suppose. However, thinking back to All of Me by John Legend is more of a nice little throwback. I think this song has gotten a bit tiring just because of how big it was back in 2014. Like it got too much. But back when it was released, I found it to be very sweet and sincere, really, which always spoke to me. I found it to be a palpable effort and beautifully written as well. I like the piano work in it. I think the storytelling aspect of the lyrics are when you listen to it now, it just feels very predictable because you're so aware of how the song actually goes. But back then, it felt very heartfelt and just in a way that you really sympathize with sharing so much of your inner thoughts that John Legend really does in the lyrical side of things here. And the delivery on the vocals feels passionate, I would say. I think it's a strong song. I think it's a strong delivery of it as well. I think the choruses are very memorable and quite sweet, really. I feel for it. And there's also this kind of, I think it was it Tiesto who made like a little bit of a house remix to put some energy into the track. You might think that it also kind of ruins the overall sincerity and touchy part of the composition, but it's also quite a nice little variation to the song to switch things up. I listen to both versions really because it provides different kind of moods. This original though by John Legend, definitely something that feels relatable in a way whenever I listen to it. I click with the emotional load that it really carries and wants to share. I think it's probably a B tier again. It's not the song I return to. It's a bit on the slow side, just like the other two piano ballads. I'm just placing them all together because I have such similar feelings about them. I think they're all melodically strong. I think they're all very well sung. And I think all of them are a bit on the slow side, maybe a bit too much. It's kind of like they're just grouped into one, which feels a bit not right to do. But I really have similar feelings towards all three of them, even though they are a bit different. All of Me is, of course, very much like the piano ballad out of them. While Stay With Me has a little bit more of a backbeat to it, and Say Something is more like the expressive, grand instrumentation towards the end there. So they are different, of course. Like, of course they are, but they just end up giving me the same kind of vibe. So they're all in the B tier. Dark Horse by Katy Perry and Juicy J. The Juicy J feature here is not for me. Of course it's not. I mean, sometimes I just don't really click with these like random rap appearances after the second chorus in a song that you just need to throw out a few words that doesn't really add anything to the song. As a composition, I think Dark Horse is quite an interesting one. Like the fact that they rely on this kind of instrumental drop during the choruses feels very trap inspired, with the big 808s and very scaled back and skeletal kind of instrumental. I don't really click with that. I find them to be quite underwhelming, but the bridges leading up to that, they are so packed with like an anthemic quality and really tries to be very grand and build towards it. Katy Perry sounds great during these parts as well, I would say. The verses are also quite nice because they really mumble in this kind of the darkness of a tone, really. The atmosphere and the ambiance of this track is quite palpable in terms of its muddiness and kind of like a seriousness to it, while also being quite a fun listen. That's really a bit refreshing, I guess, as well, for being a charting song so highly. I admire many things about it, but I also find other things about it to be quite uninspired and uninteresting. I don't know. Could it be a strong detail? Like, no, I prefer it over Let It Go. I'm placing this in the C as well. Like, it goes quite nicely together with Problem there, I would say. So a C tier song there from Katy Perry. The Juicy J feature, I'm not giving him any credit for this because it's not he's not the reason it's in C. Let's just say that much. And the number one hit song of 2014, of course, after the success of the hit Blurred Lines from was it 2013? I think it was in the last video. Might have been 2012. But after that hit, Pharrell Williams went solo to make the theme song, I guess, for Despicable Me 2, which isn't a movie I've seen, but the theme song was called Happy, and its intention or its purpose was to make everyone who heard it happy. I didn't get the memo. I do not get happy listening to this. I actually get quite annoyed and upset. It tries to just do too much, and I get it. Like, it's a bit like, just, what do you say? It's harmless, really. Like, that's the main thing, but I guess I'm too grumpy to really accept that. I just feel like I'm rolling my eyes and I get really annoyed to it. It feels like this kind of plastered on happiness that's really, really fake. Like, it tries to do too much without really having any kind of backbone to it and any redeeming, like any reward towards this happiness. Like, why are we so happy? I don't know, but whatever, who cares? Let's just be happy and clap along. And if you feel like happiness, whatever the lyric goes, I don't know. It's just this. I get the same feeling from this song as I get when the kindergarten teacher sings "If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands." It's like the same kind of, like, ooh, are we a bit grumpy here today? I know what to solve that. Let's just be happy. Yes, yes. And then I just like, all right. I don't know. Not really for me. It's also very over the top kind of arrangement behind the song as well. Like, the bass work is a bit catchy, I suppose, and there's some snappy work in there with the percussion as well. But melodically, it's not clicking with me. I think the song gets tiring really quickly as well. It doesn't really have that kind of development throughout either to express any different emotions. It never really contrasts the happiness. Maybe that's the quality that I'm really missing. Like, it's all about being happy, so we're never even introduced to a different kind of emotion. We're just being forced into feeling happy when we hear the song Happy, because we should be happy, and Pharrell Williams is happy. I'm placing this in the E tier. Yeah, I am. Or am I, like, no, I'm placing this in the E tier. Why was I about to put it in the D tier? I don't know. It's an E tier for happy. It's I appreciate other people will find it to be very happy and will get happy listening to it. but I'm the grumpy one. So that's the end of the tier list. Quite a good year. I have very fond memories of 2014, I have to say. I also have some very bad memories from some of these songs for sure. Like the 4 songs in the F tier here, they're rough. And they were so big as well. Like I've heard all of them so many times, which doesn't help. But I gotta say, like the big hitters from this year, they're big. Am I Wrong? I think is a brilliant song, really. And I'm so happy that it's such a huge hit. But yeah, let's see what 2015 will look like in comparison. This has been a fun one to revisit, really. I've enjoyed going back to this year and thinking about it immensely. So do share your thoughts on the songs from 2014 in the comments if you have any. Happy to have you watch this entire video to the end. It's been probably 40 minutes or so. So happy you stuck around. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow for 2015. Take care of yourselves until then, and bye for now.